back to the final part of Alliance Tournament 10. Michael Bolton did lose a bet earlier, and he is paying for it right now. He lost his real mustache, but has been given a fake one just to retain it. I'm very sorry, Michael Bolton. We'll come back and talk much more about the finals and your mustache, but we're going to go to Sunset quickly.
Sorry, I'm a little bit carried away looking at Michael Bolton and his lovely new facial hair arrangement. I'm CCP Sunset, back in the commentary booth with Kill2 and Ravy. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Would have been even better if I had my team here, but this is still going to be a great, great final match.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the finals. It was funny, Ravy took a definite downturn in his demeanor after the PL loss, but he's been a good sport, and I think we're going to have a fun time here finishing the tournament out.
Well, in the tournament, as well as in EVE in general, there are 3 things of utmost importance: shield, armor, and structure.
No argument
Let's talk
there.
about 2/3 of those.
All right. So there's 2 different ways we're seeing people could structure tank, but they don't. There's 2 different ways that we see people tanking the tournament: shield and armor. We've been seeing actually Hun shield tanking this whole tournament and Verge armor tanking pretty much this whole tournament. So we may see those 2 come in in comparison.
There's a lot of differences between the 2. With armor reps, you always get the rep at the end of the cycle. With shields, you always get the boost at the beginning of the cycle. You have ancillary shield boosters for shields, which has been a really big deal for this tournament. They're very powerful. It's a new mod that just got added. And there's other advantages and disadvantages too. Typically, shield setups have more room to do more damage, project damage better, whereas armor setups have more mids for utility stuff like tackle,
or
ECCM.
Like tracking disruption, yeah. The ancillary shield booster, the big difference between it and normal boosters, it boosts a lot more. It's why we're seeing such huge tanks coming out of these ships. But it uses cap boosters for its charges. So instead of using normal cap, it uses cap boosters. You can't usually run them without the cap boosters. So once it runs out, it has to reload for a full minute. And that's when we talk about that a ship is reloading. It's going for a minute where it can't rep, and that's where we usually see them die.
That's their vulnerability point.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've seen lots of different teams, lots of different setups. Of the teams that have gone out of the tournament so far, who would be your top 4 runners-up?
Well, I can tell you who my top runner-up would be, and that's PL. It definitely sucks for them that they got knocked out on the last match before they would have won prizes, because both of these 2 teams left are winning super awesome prizes that anyone would be happy to have, which actually we're seeing up on the screen. So why don't you tell us a bit about the Cambion?
Well, the Cambion's just a insane brawling assault frigate. It tanks better than other assault frigates, goes faster than other assault frigates, has 2 damage bonuses, so it does 500 DPS or something like that.
About that, yeah.
It's insane.
And then the AT10, which is going to go to the winners, is a Basilisk, a higher-end Basilisk. It gets more energy transfer range than the Basilisk. It gets a bigger bonus to it has a bunch of cap, has extra mid, extra low, and it's just a ridiculous ship. It's got a whole bunch of HP, it tanks really well, and it reps really hard. It's got a big bonus to heat damage too. It takes less heat damage than modules, so you can leave your reps overheated.
Yeah. The tournament ships are always crazy powerful, but with only 50 of them on the whole server, they end up extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And often the tournament is the only place we actually see them fielded, with some exceptions, but they're very, very strong ships.
Yeah. Whoever wins this match is going to be getting 50 of those Atanas, and they'll likely be using them to win future tournaments, or to try to win future tournaments.
So from here on out, prizes for everyone. But we were just in the middle of talking about who your top runner-up teams have been for both of you. So, Ravy, have you had any more thoughts?
Well, PL would be the main one, but then the other teams that I've really loved, in which we could have seen more of them, were Shadow Cartel and Red versus Blue. Red versus Blue getting knocked out before getting to the knockout rounds here was heartbreaking because they deserved as much as anyone else to be in this last round.
Yeah, I mean, I would give a shout-out to Suddenly Spaceships. I kind of always like them because they're always entertaining. Noli, I got really attached to this tournament because they were ridiculous. And then I guess PL as well, just for being really good always.
That's very generous of you.
Yeah, sure. And maybe Shadow Cartel for being entertaining too. No, Pizza. Forget PL.
Yeah,
Pizza sent us pizza.
Mm-hmm.
All
That's
right.
pretty awesome. So, big match coming up. I better let you guys prepare. So we'll head back to...
We can see them right now.
Oh, you're getting really excited.
It's going to be good.
So we'll head back to CCP Soundwave in the studio.
All right, we're also getting really excited. There is less than 10 minutes till the final of this 10th Alliance tournament. Till then, though, let's talk a little bit more about spaceships. While the video was running, we were talking about mining.
Yes. Well, what we were talking about was actually, okay, you're a newbie, you're in EVE. If you're not somebody who's like from Test or Goon Swarm, and I'm sorry. You're not somebody who's from like Test or Goonswarm, and you already have a community to join.
Yes.
You're looking for a community. Like, what do you do in Eve? What professions do you pick up? How do you make friends?
Yeah, and mining right now is, you know exactly what you're getting. You know, you go in, you lock an asteroid, it's a wonderful moustache.
All right.
Let's forget about that. And you just lock up an asteroid, you hit F1, F2, F3, you sit for 180 seconds, you know exactly what you get. And it's dull, it's boring. There's no chance of something great turning up. You know, there are a lot of examples out there of how, you know, can you almost like kind of loot drops or something, you know, can you actually spice up what you get out of these, out of doing mining? Can you actually take a more active role in it and do better at it? Can you, you know, team up with a buddy who can maybe hold the rock still whilst you're drilling into it, and you can avoid some dangers, and you can maybe drill down into that really good bit. You know, just by active participation, can you actually make a decent game out of it? Where, you know, maybe, hey, lucky me, I get a blob of tech, and I get that. What a great bonus as a complete new player, and sort of help me in the game. And I think we need to look at those kind of things where it's not just quite so formulaic. It's actually a decent game in itself.
Yeah, that's what you were labeling at. We were talking about earlier. It's a game inside of Eve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do we make these different games inside of Eve, and how do we get people doing those games?
Absolutely. And you know, we've shown that we've got a game that can survive for 9.5 years. There's plenty of content once you get to that point. You know, once you get into the PvP, once you get into the group, you know, there's that sort of social fabric. You know, you get into a corporation, you get into an alliance, you learn more about the game. You know, that bit's kind of proven. We've got to make sure that we keep doing things for the very veteran players who are kind of getting to the end of the skills curves and all of those sorts of things. But for me, it's a case of, well, what's the game that keeps a brand new player actually interested in playing the game?
To get there long enough to get into all the other cool stuff.
Exactly, and I just want us to take a good, healthy look at that, and actually, you know, ironically, we've built an amazing sandbox, which many other games haven't done. What we haven't done is we haven't built amazing sort of games within that, that actually really sort of absorb people and really give them something challenging to do.
Right now, a really great game for like a sort of example of where those mini games could be once they're sort of developed more. Thanks, John Sastro. Is probing. So like probing is sort of that thing where you separate it out. It's an entirely different thing, and you just get information. But for new players, maybe probing down, learning how to ninja salvage can be like, that was what I did for the first 2 weeks I played the game, as I would just ninja salvage missions. And it was so fulfilling.
Just exploration. I mean, we've looked now with the new, you can do the character profiling on the website. You know, you can answer a few questions, and then it sort of says, hey, you want to be an explorer. You know, explorers, it gets the highest number of hits for us. And you actually look at what exploration is, and it's, when you first do it, it's incredibly exciting. And then you've done it for 2 weeks and you realize that, okay, I've explored the depths of it now. And that kind of exploration, that what's out there, that kind of wonder of space is something which I think we haven't capitalized on nearly enough.
But I think for me, at least from my point of view, is that mini games are incredibly dangerous because they don't have replayability.
Well, I think that what the balance you have to strike is, if, for instance, like probing, you could have a partner who probes from a different angle, and then by working together as a team, because the ultimate replayability is other people, and that's what makes EVE Online so great. Is if EVE Online was just you flying around in space, it would be like the worst game ever, but it's you flying with other people and interacting with other real people.
Because there's not enough games inside of EVE Online.
And we've shown that EVE has 9.5 years of replayability. So, you know, I don't think we need to throw out all those things which have made it good, you know. I don't think we need to forget those things. But I think we can certainly just take some basic, you know, bits of how to make a compelling game for people and just add it in. You know, I think if this is added on top of what we already have to make it compelling for new players to come in, because new players come in and they're somebody's buddy, so they hook up with them straight away, and then they get taught the game, or they struggle through it, and they're that kind of weird kind of person that all of us veterans are, who manage to struggle through and learn the game, or, you know, they go to RVB, or they go to, you know, EVE University, or Test, or Agony, or, you know, any of these guys, and they make some friends, or some people are providing a service that teaches people how to play the game. That's great, but there's a huge number of people who never do that, and so how do you actually just give them something which is just entertaining in itself? You know, we're a games company. We should be making entertainment for people. So.
Guys, I'm sorry to have to interrupt you guys here because the final is basically ready. It is almost 9:30 Eve. We have Hun Reloaded, which was my pick to win the tournament this morning, by the way, versus Verge of Collapse. This is the two team sheets. Hun Reloaded still undefeated. They've churned through a large number of incredibly good teams. Verge of Collapse also having gone through some tournament favorites, but I think Hun Reloaded looks strongest here.
I would call them the favorites going into this.
Yeah, I would as well.
I mean, PL was most people's favorite to win the whole tournament, and Hun was able to beat them. And if Hun can knock PL out, they can really knock anybody out.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they maybe had a bit of an easy start to the day with Fearless and Godfathers. Not that they're in any way bad alliances, but compared to some of the other alliances like PL having Test, Darkside, and so forth, still just a fantastic team. And you know,
I think Verge had a tougher start to their day. They played some excellent teams,
yes.
but now here they both are in the finals. Verge is I've underestimated them, and that's what makes this such an interesting final.
Yeah.
I want to see if they're gonna show me I'm wrong again.
Yeah, we might end. So if Hun win, I will just claim to have won this bracket game.
Yeah.
Because I had them. You know, the truth is that the entirety of the right side of the map here I didn't have, but Hun I did have.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly happy with them.
I have a lot of crossed out names on my list.
Anyway, let's get the predictions. Michael Bolton, who do you think is going to win this 10th Alliance Tournament final?
I'm going to go with the murderers of my mustache, the markers of me with this terrible farce, which I will soon wash off. Hun Reloaded.
I would say Hun Reloaded are the favorite to win this. I would love to be wrong, but going with Hun.
Head says Hun, but I'd love to see Verge do it.
All right, fair enough. Well, I think I might go with who I think is going to win. I'm not going to go with my heart. Screw that. Never do that. Go with who you're pretty certain are going to win. And I did mark Hun down this morning, and I'm not going to diverge from that. I think Hun Reloaded are going to win the 10th Alliance Tournament.